that the goal can be achieved no matter what. Dear meditators, these words of mental health needs to be pondered. So today, Raj Yoga Center and Embassy of India, Muscat, together bringing you an enlightening session, Mind over Matter. For this, we have today our guest speaker, Aruna Ladva, National Coordinator of Kuwait and Egypt Centers of Brahma Kumaris, speaker who travels around the world and also facilitates retreats and training, as well as co-manages self-development projects and initiatives. She is a blogger of It's Time to Meditate .org. So I today also request you to visit the website where you can experience meditation, and there are so many articles in it. An author of its time book series. She is certified negotiator of conflict resolution. She studied natural health practices and promotes a vegetarian, dairy-free, and healthy lifestyle. Producer and creative director of Meditation Laboratory. She received a Women of Excellence Award in 2014. And not only this, she is organizing and participating in many worldwide conferences and all. If I go on, there are so many in the list about her. So, but now today, without taking much time, I invite Sister Aruna Ladva to share on today's topic related to mental health, because according to the time, when it comes to the celebrations of International Day of Yoga, so one of the part of it is about the mental health. So today she is there with us to share about the topic mind over matter. So I welcome Sister Aruna. Sister Aruna.
Thank you, and Om Shanti, Namaste to everyone. Is my volume okay? Hello? Can you hear me? Gayatri Ben, is that okay, the volume? You're muted. Can't hear you. Should I continue? Maybe just nod. Should I continue? Gayatri Ben, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. So you can continue now.
Okay, thank you.
But you are not being seen. Your video.
Yeah, it has to be spotlighted. So maybe the person who's hosting can spotlight.
Yeah, you are being spotlighted.
Okay, I will just begin, and then whatever you need to do. So good evening, everybody.
Sister, you can start.
Okay, so once again, Om Shanti, and namaste to everyone. And a special big thank you to the Indian Embassy for collaborating with the Brahma Kumaris and enabling these programs to take place. I know there's quite a few of these series of programs taking place this week. So I think it's wonderful that in a time like this, we are able to provide this kind of help, this kind of service to the people around us. So thank you so much to the ambassador and to the whole team at the embassy. And of course, thank you to Brahma Kumari's Muscat. So the topic today is mind over matter. Now, there's a few aspects to mind over matter. And I would say that one of them is that if you don't mind, then it doesn't matter, right? This is normally what we say. If you don't mind, then it doesn't matter. So in other words, if you don't let something get to you, then it doesn't really matter. So this is an aspect of building that inner will, building that inner resolve, building that inner power, so that we are strong in the face of everything. And the other aspect of mind over matter is what we call the psychosomatic effect, which is that whatever you think affects the matter, right? Mind over matter. So of course, if you think great thoughts, powerful thoughts, then you become the master of your mind, the body. Sorry, just being distracted here. Okay, I don't think we need screen sharing. And so, as I said, yeah, the thing. So let's talk a little bit about the power of the mind first. And what I really want to kind of put across to you today is really just how powerful the mind is and how it really is within our power to make us great and also to overcome everything that is around us. I think all of you have heard of the placebo effect, which means that certain people are given, let's say, the real medication for a symptom, and then other people are given, let's say, like a Smartie or a little tablet. So then what happens? What happens is that the person who's taken the placebo effect, which is this little Smartie, they also end up getting well because they actually feel that I think we need to cancel the screen sharing. That's the problem. That's why my video is not seen. So if you turn off screen sharing, yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. So when the person takes that Smartie or that little red pill, which actually is nothing, it's not a medication at all, it's just a sugar pill.
البلاسيبو هو عبارة عن قطعة من السكر and قطعة الصوتي.
Then this person gets well, right? So what is it saying? It's saying that this person had it in their mind that I am taking something of benefit for myself, and somehow with their thoughts, they convinced themselves that they were getting better. So as they're getting better just by thinking about it, then what does that say? What does that conclude? That if you just minus the Smartie or that little red sugar pill, sweet, I should say, and you just create those powerful thoughts, then you should be able to get well. Because it wasn't the actual tablet that was doing the magic. It was actually the power of your of your mind, the power of your thoughts. So this is the point, that just how powerful is our mind. And that's what I really want to emphasize on today. But before that, I want to say that whatever you put your mind's focus to, whatever you put your attention on, then that is what you create. Now, this might seem obvious, but many people fail to realize that I'm creating my reality based on what I'm putting my attention on. So let's say, for example, that somebody's attention is on money. So if your attention is constantly going to money, then what is it saying? You will see everything as an investment. Even as you talk to people, you will say, is this worth, you use words like this, is this worth my time and energy? Or is this an investment? Or you might say, no, I'm not interested in this. Now, interested is not just you like it or not, but interest. Do you gain interest on those dividends, on those funds? In other words, as you speak to this person. So your whole language, your vocabulary will revolve around money and its worth and its value, whether it's using people or things or time or whatever, right? Another example maybe I can give you is if, for example, maybe this is a more practical example, if somebody is a diabetic. So if somebody is a diabetic, then yes, their mind will keep going to sugary foods, right? They'll see a cake and they'll say, oh, okay, I think I'll eat that now. Knowing that maybe they can take a tablet later to control their sugar. But everything they see, my point is that everything they see, whatever type of food, they'll be attracted, and actually they'll have to exercise some restraint on what they see. And if they don't, then yes, over time, what happens is the insulin keeps kicking in, and one, of course, gets sicker and sicker or has to take higher doses, right? I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the specifics of it, but I know enough to know that one has to regulate their sugar. So this takes a lot of mind attention. This takes a lot of effort in your thoughts. Let me just give you a few other examples that actually need our attention. And that is, I was thinking of athletes. When there is an athlete, then that athlete, it's not just about skill, but that athlete has to use a lot of mind power. Firstly, to keep the discipline every day of exercising, waking up, watching the calories, watching the mass, the weight, the volume of the fat, of the muscles, etc. And then it's a daily practice of attention to just keep doing what they are passionate about. So I beg you to ask every swimmer, every tennis player, every footballer, and you'll see that every day they must be exercising their sport at least 4 to 5 hours a day, if not more. There are some athletes who spend like 6 hours in the gym just to get that, exact perfect figures in terms of body mass, weight, etc. So this is my point. Whatever is my interest in life, that is what I will put my attention to. So if we come to the spiritual now, what about me? What about I, the soul? I want each of you to ask yourself, where is my attention going to? And if I'm not sparing any little attention for me, and all of it's going out there to something out there, then what does it say about how much I value myself? I don't value myself a lot, right? If I'm not giving that attention to myself. So I have to put myself in high priority. Now, that's not an ego. Sometimes people say, well, isn't it arrogant to think of yourself too much? Well, no, because I believe that as we give something to ourselves and replenish ourselves, as we water the soul on a daily basis, then we are able to give back more to others around us. If we neglect ourselves, then what happens? We dry up. And when we dry up, that's when a lot of the, let's say, mental sicknesses erupt. Because now I become the victim, and now I don't have anything to give. And why should I give? If you're not giving, I start comparing. And then I start getting jealous because others are giving, others have a lot to give, and why don't I? So this gives birth to a lot of other mental sicknesses. And so what do we have to do? We have to just come back to the self, replenish the self, and make sure that our mind is within our control. And we'll come to that in a few moments. So what I want to really emphasize is, as we think, we create our perception. As you think of anything, whether something is easy or difficult, good or bad, or whatever judgment you put on it, that's really your judgment on the thing, on the person, on the event, circumstance, whatever. Like right now, it's raining. So weather, right? Some people see clouds and they say, oh, what a bad day. And the farmers will see the clouds and say, wow, what a wonderful day. So is the rain bad? Or is it that my perception is judging the event, that it's good or bad? So we have to be careful of looking at things purely from our own perception, because thoughts create perception, and then perception creates reality. Yeah, I'll repeat that. Thoughts create perception, and perception creates reality. So for example, if I think I can, then I can. If I think I can't, then I can't. If I think I'm right, then yes, I'll prove myself right somehow because I make it happen. And if I think I'm wrong, then I will prove myself wrong. So if you're going for an interview, if you're going for a driving test, then you might say, oh no, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail. And those are the thoughts you start to create. And so when you fail, you say, see, I knew I was going to fail. But did you fail because you had the negative thoughts? Or did you really fail because you were supposed to fail? So I believe that we can change our reality by the way we think. In other words, I see it as you create powerful thoughts, you are already preparing the future with your powerful thoughts of what you'd like to receive. And that's, of course, positive and powerful things. You start to create that future. So when you then now enter into that future, it is already created with your thoughts. So you have created your reality with your thoughts, and you're entering into a world, let's say, that you have created. And this is how we need to see our thoughts. That the thought is not just for now. It's not that I'm just thinking the thought for now, in this moment, and that's it, it will disappear. No, thoughts are like seeds. And every time you have a thought, it's being planted. It's being planted. It's being planted. It's being planted. So imagine the guard, the security guard, the attention that's needed to guard our thoughts, to guard our mind. Because if I don't guard the mind, then yes, the mind will create havoc. The mind will just create whatever thoughts it wants, depending on the impulses from outside. And it will create what we say in our language, not a garden of flowers, but a jungle of thorns. So there is a nice expression that between every stimulus and a response, there is a space in which to think, a space in which to choose. Just think about it. Between every stimulus, so something happens, and then my response to it, there is a space in which to choose. So what do I choose? And that's the important point, isn't it? The question of choice. Two people can be prone to the same situation, same incident, or same accident, or same lottery ticket that wins. But the outcome will be different because of what they choose to do with that situation. So this is totally in our hands. This is something we have to believe, that my thoughts are in my hands, and my thoughts are creating my every moment, every future. We say this, right? Every thought creates a word, creates a deed, creates a habit, creates a sanskar, which is like a habit, which becomes my nature. And then I'm creating my destiny with that. So don't underestimate the power of your thoughts, and don't just let them run wild, okay? Now I want to talk about this aspect of sensitivity. So like I said, when I say that if you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Now I've worked on this in quite a few areas of my life. And I guess being on a spiritual path, you have to make certain choices, certain sacrifices, and you have to be available, maybe even at times that you're feeling tired. So what I want to say is, once you just condition your mind to say, you know what, this is what I have to do, every time you exercise that discipline, you actually become powerful for it. So for example, yes, as Sister Gayatri was saying, I am a vegetarian, I am dairy-free. So now I've just decided that I don't want dairy products. So when I go into the supermarket, I just do not go down those aisles. Yes, there's a number of different cheeses, number of different butters, but I just know that I'm not supposed to go down that aisle. Do you see what I mean? Once you've made a decision, then certain things just become your practice, and you just know this is off bounds and this is within bounds. So once you've made the discipline, then there is no longer that conflict in your mind that should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? Because it's this conflict, the duality, you see, the choice, the struggle that we create in our mind of, well, should I do that or shouldn't I do that? Or should I behave like that? Or should I not say that? When there is opposing forces and that innate conflict, that's when the soul gets tired. And that's when the soul loses its will, as we say. That will to reinforce, you know, that will to do, that will to act. And then this is why we end up suffering, because, well, main suffering is that I'm just so tired. I can't pick myself up to now do another thing. I become hopeless, I become depressed. So this is all created with our lack of discipline. So one is the thought, but also I'm not being disciplined with that thought. One is to have the thought, but then the other is to stay disciplined with that thought. So this is why, in terms of your life, you know, when you make certain life choices, then yes, firstly begin, let's talk about the mind, because we're talking about the mind. Clothes, food, other things, you can do that in your own time as your homework. But in terms of your mind, why don't you just decide and tell yourself that from today onwards, you're not going to have a negative thought. From today onwards, you're not going to have a waste thought. From today onwards, you're not going to have an ordinary thought. Yeah, these are the stages. Negative, forget it. Waste, forget it. Ordinary, okay, maybe sometimes. But now I have to create elevated thoughts, positive thoughts, powerful thoughts. Let me ask you, if you want to become a powerful soul, how do you become a powerful soul? It's by creating powerful thoughts. That's it. It's simple as that. You can't become a powerful soul by having weak thoughts. So that's what I'm saying. Keep a guard on your mind. And at first, you'll have to keep a lot of guard. You know, it's like when you start exercising or creating a regime in the beginning, there is a lot of extra attention that's needed. So like, for example, if you go to do Hatha yoga, then your Hatha yoga teacher will say, well, no, now you have to stand like this, okay? So you go around standing like this and you think, oh, no, that doesn't feel normal. That doesn't feel natural. I want to stand like this because that's my normal posture. But then she says, no, please try to stand like this. And after some time, this will become your normal posture. And it's the same here. What happens is when we think certain thoughts, we think, oh, but that's not me. And let me bring in the other element of now, which is the little devil voice in our mind. So the mind will want to think positive, powerful thoughts. But then, what's the devil mind saying? The devil mind is saying, no way, you think you can create positive, powerful thoughts? You are weak, or you've never been successful in your life, or you're not smart enough, or you see, there'll be that negative self-talk coming into your mind. And for that, I would say, just cut it out. Don't listen to it. Every time you hear that negative voice coming up, you say to yourself, well, yeah, maybe I was like that, but today I'm different. And today I'm choosing to make a different choice. Today I'm choosing to create a powerful thought. Do you see? So when I'm creating more and more powerful thoughts, and your mind is filled with powerful thoughts that then, and let me say, as you create more powerful thoughts, they will begin to manifest in your life. How can they not? This is why people say, oh, I just thought about it and you came along. Or I just thought about it and this happened. Did it just happen? Or did you attract it with the power of your thought? You created the thought. You said, I want to do this, or I can achieve this, or this is my goalpost. And with the power of your mind, you made it happen. And this is what we have to believe. See, we don't believe that. We don't believe that we are magicians. We don't believe that we can create this type of magic with our thoughts. We think everything is just coincidental. It's not coincidental. So when you have more powerful thoughts, you start manifesting them. This brings now more confidence into your life. This brings more happiness into your mind, into your life. And then this is how you want life to be, isn't it? You want to be more in power. In other words, you want to be able to manage. I don't want to say control, but you want to be able to manage your life in this way, where anything comes at you, but you're able to, play with it, direct it how you want. It doesn't affect you. It doesn't alter who you are. So this is the inner core. I always believe that when we are working with our mind, this is the inner core that we are working with, is to strengthen the mind. So back to the personal experiences, one was that. The other I want to say is maybe about my white hair. And maybe I've mentioned that in one of the videos earlier. But once you just decide that that's it, I don't mind. I just don't mind having white hair, because to do anything else with it is just so much hassle. So once you have convinced yourself that it's okay, then you know what? Everybody else becomes okay with it. This is really my experience. When even now in one of the countries, one sister's decided not to put makeup on. And of course, she looks different to when she used to put makeup on. But everybody's saying how pretty she looks. Because when that inner voice comes from inside that, you know what, I don't mind. I'm happy to dress simply. I don't need to be in competition with the Joneses next door. When I'm fine with this from inside, as I said, when that voice of confidence speaks from inside, then nobody can say anything that can affect your decision. And in fact, they will join you, they will join forces because they realize that there is strength in that. There is truth in that. In other words, if I wasn't doing that, if I was just doing things for the sake of others, then that's where I'm actually losing my power. Do you see? So when I'm doing things because of others to make others happy, I'm actually losing my happiness in the process. I'm also losing my power in the process. And in our spiritual language, we say we are becoming a slave to that situation. I'm not becoming a master of the situation. So this is why I'm saying, if you don't mind it, okay? Let me give you a few other examples. Like if say somebody insults you, say somebody says something to you that you don't like. Even like say imagine that this was the hall now, and this is the stage, and all of you have entered the hall, and you come first, and you're sitting in the front seat, and then somebody comes and says to you, I'm sorry, madam, but can you go and sit a few rows behind? Okay. So of course you will say, well, no, I was here first and I deserve the front seat, or I'm so-and-so and I deserve to be here. How do you tackle something like that? So of course, if inside you say to yourself, okay, you know what? I don't mind. If you say, I don't mind, then it doesn't matter, and you will make that mountain into a molehill. Now, if you mind, in other words, if you allow it to mind, in other words, if you allow it to touch you, to affect you, either in heart, emotion, or ego, the head, then you will say, no, 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 I'm staying right here. And you find the other person another seat. Now, I don't know, it could turn into something major, or maybe the other person's more accommodating and they let you sit there, whatever the outcome. But the point is about me. Why could I not adjust in that moment? Why could I not tolerate in that moment? Would there not have been benefit to tolerate in that moment? So when we say, if you don't mind, it doesn't matter, it is about developing, cultivating different powers so that I don't allow other things to get to me so easily. I always say that the Raj Yoga meditation that we are learning, and I invite you to also come and learn, and there's Zoom classes happening everywhere now. So there's no excuse not to learn. So if you come and learn the Raj Yoga meditation, you will see that everything we are learning is to make us peaceful and keep us happy. These are the two qualities. We are learning Raj Yoga meditation to keep that inner peace of mind and to keep the happiness. So inner peace means what? To keep the calm, to keep the mind free from chatter, to keep the mind free from waste, overthinking, negative thinking, waste thinking. And happy means what? Happy means not to be disturbed, not to allow anything from out there to take away your happiness. So every piece of knowledge, wherever it may be, right? Whether through mainstream religion or philosophies that you learn, it should be able to provide you the tools to stay peaceful and happy. And if it doesn't, then something is not right. In other words, either you're not doing it right or the tools are not right. So this is what I'm saying. When we keep coming back to the self, empowering the self, mastering the mind, creating a more powerful mind, then this also has an immediate effect on the body. And I've known many people to heal themselves, to heal their bodies, to heal their wounds, majorly, I don't want to say completely through meditation, but majorly through the power of thought, and maybe just a little bit of medication or alternative therapy. Because the main healing actually takes place in the mind. So let me ask you, if you have a problem, okay, if you have a problem in your hip, if you have a problem in your shoulder, if you have a problem in your back, where did that problem actually start? It actually started in the mind. Now, you may argue with me. Luckily, I'm speaking to you, and there's not a direct way for a confrontation. But anyway, just think about it. Just think about what I'm saying. Somewhere you had the thought, and that thought got deposited somewhere in the body. And the weakest organ in the body got affected. So I can't just say, oh, it's just a shoulder ache. Shoulders are actually responsibility. So when I'm carrying a lot of responsibility, then my shoulders will start to hurt because it's metaphoric. I'm carrying the burden of responsibility. But it's again back to the thought. When I am carrying those thoughts, right? Oh, it's difficult, or I can't do it, or how is it possible? Or even thoughts like, this is too much, I'm overwhelmed. Then this overwhelming feeling will get trapped somewhere in my cells. And then that's what creates the pain in the body. And so what is the pain? The pain comes as a messenger to tell me that there is something wrong with my body. Anytime, right? If you get like, even if your hand hurts, like lately I've been noticing as I hold the phone here, this muscle is getting tightened. So of course I need to exercise it a bit. But it's happening because I'm holding the phone. It's a result of holding the phone, and it's not staying natural. It's being held tight. So in the same way, I can't just say it just happens, right? There's a cause and there's an effect. So what I'm saying is, as we start to think in the right way, start to take everything very lightly, very easily, don't be overwhelmed, be accepting of what is coming towards you, take things lightly, laugh at it, play with it. Then as we keep our mind light in this way, then the body will also stay light, and you'll be able to actually handle everything in an easy way, easier way. So nothing needs to be as difficult as it seems. Actually, there's a saying that the mind actually tricks us into believing that things are there when they're not. This is what we call the monkey mind or the wicked mind. The mind tricks us into believing that, there's an imagination there, like that's playing out, that's saying that is worse than it is. Because when you get to that, it's not as bad as it seems. There's examples of, like, what I mean is, your son doesn't come home on time. What's the first thoughts that you start to create? It's not that, oh, he's, I'm hearing an ice cream van. So it's not that he's standing there, bought himself an ice cream and eating it, is it? The thought is, oh, I hope something hasn't happened to him. Or what, for example, if a policeman comes ringing the doorbell? So from the window, you see him. So from the window to the door, your heart is going to palpitate, because you're going to be thinking, why is the policeman here? And a whole series of negative waste thoughts will go through your mind. Why can't we think, oh, he's come to say hello to me? I know that's a bit extreme, but why can't I think positive? Why can't I think that, you know what? Maybe there's a good reason why he's here. So it's so easy for the mind to fall into the negative. And so for this, it needs that attention. Okay, so let's spend the last few minutes maybe looking at some of the solutions. So one of them, as I said, is when something has to be lifted, right? Because we live in this world of gravity. When something has to be lifted, it needs this effort. Because if I let go, then it will fall. And it's the same with the mind. In the beginning, I'm going to need to give it that effort to create those pure, peaceful, positive, powerful, and purposeful thoughts. So I call these the 5 P's: pure, peaceful, positive, purposeful, and powerful thoughts. So your thinking criteria now has to be around these 5 P's. If you're not thinking one of these thoughts, then you shouldn't be thinking at all. Pure, pure-hearted, pure intention. Peaceful, so calm in nature, peaceful in nature. Not rushed, not reactive. Be calm. Even take a moment. You don't have to respond immediately. You don't have to send that WhatsApp message right then and there. Just take a moment, just pause, just calm. Pure, peaceful, positive. It should be positive in nature, not negative, not doubtful. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Try to stay positive. Say, no, there must be a good reason why this is happening. Pure, peaceful, positive, powerful. So let it be filled with that determination. Actually, the other day in our teachings, there was a very beautiful line. It said, when you create a determined thought, then you don't have to create that thought again. Isn't that beautiful? When you create a determined thought, which is a powerful thought, then there's no need to create it again, because it's like it's done. The moment you had it, it's like it's done. Yeah. And purposeful thought, which means that it should be filled with a purpose to it. There should be a reason. Otherwise, if it's not a good enough reason, then no, don't need to think these thoughts. Okay, so this has to be the criteria of your thinking. The other thing I want to say in terms of solution is there needs to be a good purpose to our life to bring mind over matter. Now, what I mean about this is you have to look at the attainment in what you are going to be doing, and don't look at the sacrifice of what you are losing. Okay, look at the attainment of what you are gaining and don't look at the sacrifice. So for example, as I was talking about the athletes, yes, they have to get up early, maybe in the cold weather, they have to get out there and exercise for 6 hours. So what are they focusing on? They're focusing on building better muscles, being stronger athletes, mastering certain skills. They're not looking at, oh, I could have got a few extra hours sleep. It would be nice to stay in bed. It would be nice to stay and have breakfast at home, right? They're focusing on what they're going to get, what they're going to gain. And so this is what I ask you to do now. When you set your mind to do something, look and write. Really, I write it down for myself as well. Write down all the attainments that you are seeing. Of course, there'll be more than what you're writing or what you're seeing. But write down all the attainments that you are seeing. And that becomes your motivation to what you are doing. And then I would suggest that you actually put for yourself little goalposts. So start with small aims, because trying to master the mind is I don't want to say impossible. It's not impossible, but certainly takes a certain amount of effort and perseverance. So start with small goalposts where you challenge your mind. And for me, like I like to do different types of, let's say different types of fasting. So I challenge myself. So I might say, okay, I'm not eating for 16 hours. And of course, by The evening, you might start to get hungry. But then I start to talk to myself and I say, no, I committed to this a few days a week. And this is not one of those days that I have to eat. And so that's my small goalpost. If I can just get beyond this, then I can choose, I can do extra days or more days, whatever. So that's my small goalpost. Or there've been periods where I've not eaten salt, or there've been periods where I've just eaten raw fruit and vegetable and no cooked food. But this is all an excuse really for me to master the mind. It's an excuse to master the taste buds. So that if I have to do it longer, I know in my heart, in my mind, that I am able to do it. I just have to push myself that little more, that little more, that little more. Okay, so whatever it is you choose to master, start with small attempts and then build up on them as well. The other thing I want to say is be kind to yourself. Now, in the process of mastering our mind, we can get actually very angry, we can get annoyed, we can get frustrated because things don't always go our way. And so I want to say, really be gentle, be kind to yourself. And this is a very high aim, this is a very high path that we are trying to practice. Because you see, it's easy to give up something physically and say, I don't want it. But to actually give it up in your mind, it's not easy, right? So actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, it mentions this conversation between Krishna and Arjun. And Arjun is saying to Krishna, but you know, my mind is being distracted so much. It's like the wind. It goes here 1 minute, there the next minute. And Krishna says to him, but everything is possible with a calm and stable mind. And so really, this is also my message to you, that there'll be a million things to pull our attention, to distract us from what's the real work, the real effort, which is that internal effort of just mastering the mind, because it all starts in the mind. But if I can get this very clear, if I can just master myself, master my mind, then I tell you all else, all other matter, whether it's this matter or that matter, will sort itself out. But first, it's me empowering myself. So as I'm saying, be kind to yourself. You know, don't give in to the voice of the illusion. We say Maya, the illusion, or the devil, or the negativity. Stay firm, stay steadfast in what you're believing. And really, you will see results. I've seen many people walk this path and get very good results in terms of mastering the mind and mastering the body. So in other words, they were, you know, going to be very sick, but then somehow they were able to turn it around with their mind. And also even negative forces, even if somebody's jealous of you, you can actually, with your powerful thoughts, create this shield around you where it doesn't affect you. That negative energy doesn't affect you. So if you have this powerful aura around you, then what's going to happen? That will just be deflected back to that person. So yeah, we have to be very, very clear in what we want, put our mind to it, and as we say, just do it, and we can do it. Okay, so I'd like us now to do a few minutes of meditation, and then after that, I'm happy to take any questions, if we have any questions. Okay, so just sit comfortably, wherever you are. Try not to hold on to anything, and just try, and if you want, focus on the picture in front, or if you have some flowers in front of you, or if you have a candle, a burning candle, just focus on that. So we actually practice with our eyes open so that we can be accustomed to the world. It's not like we're floating away somewhere with our eyes closed. So we're very much aware of what's happening, and yet we're able to create that stillness inside of us. So as I say, just sit comfortably, And I'm just going to speak some thoughts. We call it a commentary. I would just like you to follow that commentary. So just take a deep breath. With every breath you take in peace. And with every breath you exhale, you are releasing all the stress and tension. So just say to yourself, I take in peace and calm. And I release all the stress and tension. So from the tips of my toes to the top of my head, I just fill myself with calming thoughts. Just think about what peace means to you now. What kind of peace do I want? Is it just a quiet room? Is it just peaceful and harmonious relationships? Or is it a peaceful mind? A mind that is within my control. A peaceful mind can make very clear decisions. It can make the right decisions. A peaceful mind is a happy mind. A peaceful mind is a stable mind. So with just that one switch of thinking of peace, I have created that inner calm inside of me and around me. Every cell in my body is listening to my thoughts. So let me be conscious of my thoughts. Now I would like you to experiment in creating a powerful thought. Create a powerful thought for yourself. And today, this evening, we are going to plant that thought in your mind. So, for example, I am healthy and well. I have all the abundance in my life. My life is filled with harmonious relationships. I receive love from everyone I meet. Just decide on one thought and just hold on to that thought. And now finally, I would like you to see the separation between I and mine. So when I say I the being, am separate from this body, which I call my body. Try to feel the distinction between the two. I, the being, am just pure light, pure consciousness, pure awareness. And this body has an expiry date. This body will one day perish. But I, the soul, I will live on forever and ever. And so I want to invest in that which is eternal. I want to invest in I, the soul. So really just try to be in the being consciousness now. Just feel your eternity. I, the soul, lives forever and ever. No fire can burn me, no water can drown me, no sword can cut me. I am eternal. And therefore I am the master of this body. I am the master of these senses. Thank you. Shanti.
Thank you for very much for leading us into such a deep experience. Before that, like I would like to ask one of the question. Like usually, yes, people think or they say, be positive. So they think, okay, it will happen, everything will be good. But they come across seeing that failing everything, and that makes them disheartened. But you defined it so well today that it should have all these 5 P's, then only we will be successful in this. But again, to have all this, like you started defining each and everything, but to have to all together, because the main complaint is usually we can't remain positive. So then we can go for powerful and all that. The first challenge itself is we can't remain positive. So what you suggest for that? What you guide for us?
Well, I would suggest meditation. But, you have to find your technique, actually. that calms you down. But it has to be a technique that is something from within and not something from without, not something from out there. Because the techniques that are offered from out there, they are very temporary. But you have to have a much more permanent technique that is long lasting, that is thorough in helping you keep calm from the inside. And so, one of the best known tools for that is meditation, because in meditation, meditation is to actually master the mind. In other words, you become so conscious of your thinking that you start to now decipher. You start to now decipher. You start to see your thoughts on the, let's say, the frame of your mind. And you say, okay, not this thought, not this thought, but this thought. If I don't have that quiet and silence of the mind, I can't create that inner peace. So just sit with yourself, even if it's few minutes in the morning, in the evening, even middle of the day, doesn't matter. But just begin by sitting with yourself, creating that inner calm. Choose one thought, nice thought, and just think about that. It's like you eat a sweet and you're just sucking on that sweet. In the same way, create a nice thought and just kind of chew on that thought for a few moments until you feel that inner calm.
So in that sense, yeah, really, because we think a lot and we are not able to perform it. So here, as you mentioned, like lack of will to do and all that. So yes, meditation, what is which really helps us. So in that sense, how you suggest, like how can we go on with the meditation, or it is again a question how many times we have to do, or when we have to do this meditation?
Well, best suggested time for meditation is actually in the morning, because your mind is fresh, your body is fresh, and plus it sets a good tone for the day. The best time for meditation is actually in the morning. Okay, so try to wake up 10-15 minutes earlier, half an hour earlier than you normally do, and just wash your face. And before you get into any other action, just sit and be with yourself. And we suggest morning time because in the morning, when you have a thought, you can't just act on that thought. So if you wake up 5 or 6 in the morning and you think of your boss or your mother-in-law or whatever, the school, you can't just jump to that thought because everybody's still asleep. So you can't just get on the phone, or maybe with WhatsApp, maybe we tend to send messages, but technically, you don't want to disturb people in the morning. So that time when you have a thought, you say to yourself, well, I can't do anything with that. Let me get back to the meditation. Maybe during the day when you are meditating, you have a thought and you say, oh, let me just do this, then I'll come back to meditation. So it pulls, right? It pulls on your thought and you go away from the meditation practice. So that's why we recommend the early morning hours where you are fresh, mind is still fresh, hasn't had many thoughts. So now you begin to empower yourself with those powerful thoughts so that when you go out into the day, you are already feeling empowered from inside. And for new beginners, I would say just sit 10-15 minutes with yourself, but sit in the same place every day, whether it's your seat, your couch, your corner of the room. Just sit in one place so that you start to build that ambience, that atmosphere in the same place. And when you come back to that seat, you will associate it with meditation. So again, it will be easy to go back into meditation each time. So that's what I would suggest. I hope I answered the question.
So one question, it says, how can I stop my mind thoughts rather than yoga? So it's like any other technique he is asking.
Actually, it's not a question of stopping your thoughts. Because when you say, I'm going to stop my mind or stop my thoughts, what are you thinking about? You're thinking about stopping. Okay, if I say to you, don't think of a bright, juicy tomato, what are you going to think about? Is that bright, juicy tomato, right? So the more you say, don't do that, the more it's going to do it. So that's why you have to kind of manage it. So instead of saying, I don't want to think of that, you say, okay, what would you like to think about? And it's that. So now your focus, right? Meditation is what? It's focus, it's attention. So now I choose to focus on this. This is still there, okay? Like I'll give you an example, right? So I've got two things here, okay? Okay, I've got two things here. This is still there, but I choose to focus my attention on that. I can choose to focus my attention on that if I want, but no, I choose to focus it there. So it's not that you're stopping your mind. It's not that you're stopping your thoughts. It's just changing the focus of your attention. And as I said, meditation is one of the best ways to do that. And if you can't meditate, then I suggest you get into some general positive activity, which is a selfless activity. And what I mean by this is start making others happy, but in a positive way, where you're not losing yourself. Start being of service to others. When you start being of service to others, you actually begin to find yourself. If you're a person that can't meditate, just get into doing good karma, good action, good deeds, positive, selfless deeds where you want nothing in return. And then you come back to finding your sense of self through that.
Thank you. I think he got his answer. So in that way, no more questions from participants. I think they have got what they were looking for. So in that sense, I just end the session saying that I really thank Indian Embassy Muscat for creating such a platform where many people are being connected, and at the same time they are getting the benefits of listening to the masters in that sense. So it is really a great platform in that way. So I take this opportunity again to thank Embassy of India Muscat, and also I would like to thank Sister Aruna to join all the way from there virtually, but we feel your presence that we are all together and listening to you. So thank you very much for joining us today and enlightening us, showing us how powerful the mind is, because mind is what is